Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, a suspect from Houston is arrested for crimes against a child.
Attorney General Ken Paxton wins a lawsuit over censoring American media companies. The details this evening.
And we continue our coverage of the presidential election. The latest details next.
Well, it was not your imagination. We had a lot of pollution in the atmosphere. The atmosphere is very capped. We're looking for a lot of heating to actually pop a couple thunderstorms, but for our area, we had moderate levels of air pollution. Down south, it was even heavier. We'll be talking about the hot, steamy weather coming up in just a moment.
And the uncle of Jordan Whittington and Quail legend Arthur Whittington passed a few weeks back, and there's going to be a celebration of life this Saturday. Those details in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. Just before 4 this afternoon, authorities arrived on Moody Street to find this vehicle flipped over. Police say the driver in the flipped vehicle ran a light while driving southbound. He has minor injuries. The driver and passenger in the other vehicle involved were not hurt, but still went to the hospital out of precaution. Now, a 34-year-old suspect from Houston was arrested by Victoria County deputies Tuesday. Terry Ashley faces charges of inducing sexual performance of a child, online solicitation of a minor, and displaying harmful material to a minor. Ashley is in the Victoria County Jail. No bond has been set.
A 28-year-old suspect was arrested by Victoria Police Tuesday. Caleb Walters is charged with aggravated robbery. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $50,350 bond.
In Wharton, County deputies arrested a 34-year-old suspect from Harlingen Monday. Carlos Lopez faces charges of human smuggling in Wharton and Refugio counties. He is in the Wharton County Jail in lieu of a $100,000 bond.
Goliad County deputies arrested 3 suspects Tuesday after finding illegal drugs and evidence of the distribution of the drugs. 2 men from Georgia, 35-year-old Nathaniel Thrash and 29-year-old Jeremy Brown, and 27-year-old Preston Dixon of Mississippi were arrested. They face 4 counts of manufacture and delivery of a controlled substance and 1 count of unlawful carrying of a weapon. All 3 are in custody at the Goliad County Jail in lieu of $395,000 bond.
May 14th will mark 21 years since the killing of 19 undocumented migrants at Fleming Prairie Road near U.S. Highway 77. The 19 people died inside the back of a hot-packed tractor trailer. A total of 70 people were found inside the truck, which reached 173 degrees. Among those dead were a teen and a 5-year-old boy. Every year, family members, friends, and the community gather to honor the lives lost. Saturday at 11 a.m., a group will gather at Fleming Prairie Road and U.S. Highway 77, that's near the Refugio Highway, to remember the victims.
Port Lavaca police want information about damage to city property there. On the weekend of April 20th and 21st, the Bayfront boat ramp was damaged, mainly at the dock's guardrails and handrail. Port Lavaca police ask for information about the damage as well as the individuals responsible. If you have info, contact the Port Lavaca Police Department at 361-552-3788.
And now let's take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis. Don, do you feel that iffiness in the air right now?
Since we're both from Houston, we know humidity. That's humidity.
Yeah, it's hot out there.
We know air pollution as well. We see the Houston air kind of turns brown every now and then. Anyway, folks, we of course had pollution that's building up in the lower atmosphere because the atmosphere is very capped. And you might have noticed that we need some strong heating to actually pop some thunder showers to the north of us. In this red area, we have a tornado watch. Good news is at this hour, the one thunderstorm that fired is falling apart. Let's hope that that's what happens for the rest of the night. We'll have the latest for you coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. The DeWitt County Commissioners Court voted 4-0 to fire the county's election administrator, Melissa Alcazar. She had held the position since April 2018. Now, Alcazar turned in her resignation letter before the March 4th primary election. She then withdrew her letter of resignation. In late April, the county's election commission met to review complaints over a lack of communication and other election-related matters connected to Alcazar. Two candidates are in the runoff race for Victoria County Commissioner Precinct 3. Now, Tuesday, we highlighted retired interim fire chief Shannon Martin.
Now, 25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick will introduce us to his opponent. Adarius.
Brad Tucker is the second candidate in the Victoria County Commissioner Precinct 3 race. Tucker has more than 25 years of experience as a contractor and almost 20 years as a business owner. The Victoria native has owned and operated Tucker Construction Company for 18 years. He did discuss his experience and how he'd use it in the role. However, his main goal is to lower taxes in the county.
I want our county government in particular, and all government in general, to be more effective, getting things done, more efficient so we can keep our taxes as low as possible and more accountable.
He plans to continue the current Commissioner Court's work on infrastructure like roads, ditches, and drainage. He believes his experience will help bring these plans to life if elected. Tucker will go head-to-head with Shannon Martin for the Victoria County Commissioner Court Precinct 3 on May 28th. They both encourage the community to go out and vote. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Adarius. And now we turn to the race for the White House. President Biden in Wisconsin today to highlight a new multi-billion-dollar manufacturing investment.
This as former President Donald Trump gets a legal victory in his Georgia election interference case.
President Biden on the campaign trail in the battleground state of Wisconsin, highlighting a new $3.3 billion Microsoft AI data center in Racine.
It's going to result in 2,300 union construction jobs just to build a new facility, and 2,000 permanent workers to work in the data center. It's going to be transformative, not just here, but worldwide.
The new manufacturing investment to be built on the same land as the failed project by Foxconn, the Taiwanese company that former President Donald Trump said would bring 10,000 jobs to the area.
This will be one of the largest jobs ever built in the world when it's completed.
But it never happened.
They wasted hundreds of millions of dollars of your state and local tax dollars to promise a project that never happened. Foxconn turned out to be just that, a con. Rather than creating them, 1,000 manufacturing jobs left Racine.
As Biden campaigns, Trump spending the day in Florida and posting on social media. In a legal victory for Trump, an appeals court in Georgia has agreed to take up his appeal of the decision to keep District Attorney Fani Willis on her election interference case against him, likely delaying the case significantly.
It guarantees that the only case that's going to trial out of these three criminal cases is ultimately the case that's now for the judge in New York State.
Trump will be back in New York City Thursday for his hush money payment trial. Adult film actress Stormy Daniels expected to take the stand again for another day of testimony. As Trump heads back to court, Biden heads west to California and Washington later this week to raise more campaign funds, adding to his already large cash advantage over Trump. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
9 of the 10 wrongful death lawsuits filed after the fatal crowd surge at the 2021 Astroworld Festival in Houston now settled, including one that was set to go to trial this week. An attorney for Live Nation says only one wrongful death lawsuit remained pending the other 9, which are settled. The lawsuit that remains pending was filed by the family of 9-year-old Ezra Blount, the youngest person killed during the concert. After a police investigation, a grand jury last year declined to indict Travis Scott, along with 5 others connected to the festival.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton got a victory in a lawsuit against the Biden administration. The lawsuit was over censoring American media companies. The federal government wanted to have the lawsuit dismissed, but a federal district court judge denied the Biden administration's request and ordered expedited discovery. Last December, Paxton sued the U.S. Department of State, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and other government officials over their censorship of U.S. media.
Pro-Palestinian demonstrators gathered outside a Harris County jail today to call for the release of their fellow protesters. Authorities arrested 2 students at a protest encampment at the University of Houston this morning. Police were clearing out the encampment when the arrests were made. A statement from the university clarified the students were allowed to protest, but encampments and tents are not permitted on campus grounds. One of the students was arrested for failure to identify. The other was for assaulting a police officer and resisting arrest. So here's your beer poll this evening. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen right now. The question is, do divestments actually work? According to our results, it looks like 24% stated yes, and the remaining 76% voted no. We want to hear your opinion on this. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 10.
George Hayek, an Army veteran and longtime businessman in Victoria, has died at the age of 104. Hayek was a founding partner in Dick's Food Store. He was also instrumental in starting the Victoria chapter of the Elks Club and the Just Friends Club. He served as a volunteer firefighter, owned a bank for a short time, and dabbled in real estate. There's a visitation at Rosewood Funeral Chapel Thursday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. His funeral will take place at Trinity Episcopal Church at 10 a.m. Friday. Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The 2024 Adopt a Beach Cleanup event on April 20th had more than 5,000 volunteers and removed nearly 60,000 pounds of trash from Texas coastline. Thus, Texas Parks and Wildlife has presented a new 2,300-acre park to be built near Port O'Connor. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. Stay with us. A Fort Cavazos soldier is arrested and charged for a murder-for-hire plot. That's coming up on 25 News Now at 6.
Also ahead, the U.S. warns Americans not to visit Russia. This as they detain 2 more U.S. citizens.
A Fort Cavazos soldier in Killeen was arrested and charged for his role in a murder-for-hire plot in Connecticut. 30-year-old Army Sergeant Jeremiah Pakert was arrested last Thursday. Now, authorities say the failed murder-for-hire plot to kill 4 people, including 2 children, was orchestrated behind bars at a Connecticut jail. Pikert's brother, Joshua Pikert, reportedly came up with the plan. Jeremiah Pikert reportedly admitted to Connecticut authorities last December he sent money to an inmate's account at his brother's request.
The U.S. State Department warned Americans to avoid traveling to Russia. 2 American men recently went anyway and were arrested.
One of the men arrested is a soldier from Fort Cavazos in Killeen.
There are Americans being held in cases. The first, Gordon Black, a U.S. who had been stationed in interesting story. He had news records back in 2000, both Iraq and Afghanistan. He was stationed in South. Got orders to move to Fort Texas, and according to the Army, leave on April 10th back to the United States, to China, Russia, and that's where he was since he was then arrested. So last week, suspicion of theft in prison for the least until his next court date. He news that she had warned he was going to Russia.
Was going to happen. He's not being tortured. It's just hard being a mom.
Ozempic babies. These stories are popping up all over social media, and it's left many wondering why the drugs are leading to surprise pregnancies and their safety if they do. Researchers say the drugs have been shown to increase a woman's chance of getting pregnant. That's because weight loss is usually associated with increased fertility. And the drugs can also make birth control pills less effective. Researchers note that more is needed to know why, and that study is underway. Now here's a look at some of the top headlines you can find in the Quail Record. Mayor Sarah Postmeyer reflects on her time in office, and Bill Hamilton is reelected to Cuero ISD Board of Trustees. Read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. Now a large sinkhole swallowed 2 cars in an important set of golf clubs.
Instead of sinking a putt, you got a sinkhole. This happened Monday right in front of a home in Las Cruces, New Mexico. The sinkhole is said to be about 30 feet wide. Look at this. And 30 feet deep. The dangerous situation forced officials to evacuate the home as well as nearby residents. One bright spot to report from this incident: firefighters were able to rescue a set of golf clubs and a cart for a high school student who is set to compete in the state championships. Mac, I've seen bunkers before on golf courses, but not like that.
I couldn't get out of that sand trap either. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It was a warm, humid, and ugly day. We've got a lot of haze in the atmosphere because the pollution is being trapped down into the atmosphere. The temperatures, well, 86 right about now, but with the humidity, it feels like 96. So yes, we're getting into the heat index time of the year. We managed to get up to only 88 because we didn't get any breaks in the cloud deck, but we are looking for about 90 degrees tomorrow, and that should be the end of this hot, steamy stuff, because after that, things look a little better. We'll be talking about all your weather coming up in just a moment. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Obviously, a pretty dreary day out there with all the smoke and haze and pollution that we've had. Of course, the temperatures, again, way up there, feeling very humid. Now, we are, of course, we can deal with this. What we were worried about is any severe weather. And we had some shall we say, some scary moments up toward the Dallas area where some stuff was about to take off. Now remember, we have our atmosphere capped, but with all the heating, every now and then you can pop a thunderstorm through that and then they get going. So that's a big concern because tonight from Austin through Dallas all the way up into Oklahoma, they have a tornado watch. And so there was one storm that popped just to the west of Austin, and you can see it growing there and then falling apart not far from Fort Cavazos, as a matter of fact, near Killeen. But the good news is that it did not get going. In other words, it's beginning to decrease under the cap. It's that strong that it's suppressing that. So with a little luck, we won't have any additional problems in that area. Now out west, this is a red flag warning for high fire danger, very low humidities. And then down south, we have the heat advisory that's on for that area of Texas from Corpus Christi down to the valley. Now for us, what we had is an advisory. It's called poor air quality for sensitive persons. Now, I'm a sensitive person, but what they're talking about is people who have asthma, bronchial problems, things of that nature, breathing. If you're affected by what's out there in the air, you're advised to stay indoors, maybe wear a mask and minimize any activity outdoors. But again, you can see how here in the valley and down to Corpus, they had a little bit more air pollution or particulate matter more specifically. I mean, I can get real specific with smog, but you don't need to bother with that. Basically, it's stuff hanging in the air, all right? Now, tonight we have a threat of severe weather to the north of us, okay? So far, so good. It's nice and quiet. Tomorrow, we have another threat, and you can see this one. That one concerns me. That's tomorrow afternoon because that's when we have that little front coming through that's going to give us the cooler weather or slightly cooler weather over the weekend. But we're going to watch this very carefully. Now, we're on the extreme southern edge of it, but, you know, anything pops in the Austin area, we've got to watch very carefully because it may get down to the I-10 corridor, and then, you know, it's too close for comfort. Here you see Future Tracker. You can see how overnight we're going to pick up all the cloud cover again. We have that stable environment on top of us. You can see how the clouds will be with us all morning long. In the afternoon, we're going to pop some thunder showers, and that's your Thursday afternoon. That's when that little front starts to move. At this time, it looks like everything stays just to the north of I-10, but that's very close to the crossroads, and so we'll be watching it for you. But tomorrow should be the last hot day, because then things start getting a little better as we get to the weekend, and even better when we start getting a rain chance. Now tomorrow, still hot and steamy up to about 87. Port Lavaca, hot and steamy in Cuero up to about 89. But after that wind comes in out of the north, we'll start getting to the 80s on Saturday, which should be very nice. And we do have a chance of getting some showers around here on Sunday and Monday. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thank you, Mac. And now here's Zach Brown with your sports.
St. Joseph softball one step closer to a state title. I'll have that in sports. A celebration of life for former Cuero and NFL star Arthur Whittington will be held Saturday morning at 11 a.m. The service will be at the Cuero Performing Arts Center, 920 East Broadway Street. It's right next to Gobbler Stadium, where Whittington first shined as a member of Cuero's great 1970s teams. Arthur Whittington died of cancer in Houston at the age of 68. He died on April 22nd. His jersey number with the Oakland Raiders, number 22. Whittington played on the Raiders Super Bowl 15 championship team in 1981. 3 years before that, he was picked in the 7th round of the NFL draft by the Raiders. 46 years later, Arthur's nephew Jordan Whittington was picked in the 6th round of the NFL draft by the Los Angeles Rams. For the St. Joseph Lady Flyers, their postseason run continues after a big win last night. It was a close one. Final score was 4-2. Shane Meismer went the distance, giving up just the 2 earned runs. Elena St. Jean had 3 RBIs in the game, which led everyone and led them to a win. The Lady Flyers are regional round champs, still in the hunt for a state championship. While we're talking about St. Joseph teams going to state, one Lady Flyer made Flyer Nation proud at state. This is Isabella Lyons. She was a TAPS 5A All-State finalist. She comes in 8th place. The tournament took place at Squaw Valley in Glen Rose, Texas. She is just a junior and made the TAPS All-State team. She's no doubt looking forward to another great and maybe even better senior season. The former interpreter for Major League Baseball player Shohei Ohtani has agreed to plead guilty to federal charges. It relates to the theft of nearly $17 million from the Dodgers star. The Department of Justice says Ipe Mitsuhara is expected to plead guilty to 1 count of bank fraud and 1 count of subscribing to a false tax return during his May 14th arraignment. The DOJ says Mitsuhara allegedly stole from Ohtani after helping him set up bank accounts in the U.S. The U.S. attorney says that was so Mitsuhara could, quote, finance his voracious appetite for illegal sports betting. He then lied to the IRS about his income. Mitsuhara faces up to 33 years in federal prison. The WNBA is making changes to the way teams travel around the league. On Tuesday, the league's commissioner announced all 12 teams will begin charter travel this season. This will end the WNBA's long-standing policy of mandated regular season commercial flights for its players. The commissioner says plans are still being made to get charter planes in place. The decision comes as the league sees a widespread surge in ticket sales following this year's rookie draft class, including Caitlin Clark. Teams this season are traveling with security personnel. The WNBA's regular season just a few days away, May 14th. That is it for your sports. Don and Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. We're back in a moment. The Olympic flame reached France 79 days before the Paris 2024 Games opening ceremony.
Olympic flame reached Marseille, France, less than 3 months before the Paris 2024 Games opening ceremony. More than 150,000 people, look at this, attended the ceremony after a 6-hour harbor parade. The ship was greeted by over 1,000 boats. More than 10,000 people will take part in the torch relay before the flame reaches Paris. The Olympic opening ceremony is in Paris, July 26th, less than 3 months away from the Summer Olympics.
That's so beautiful. Look at all those boats.
That is fantastic out there. Oh man, I would have loved to have been out there. But instead, we have this, what is this in the air? What are we calling this? I don't know.
Now.
It's called particulate matter. And basically it's stuff hanging in the air. You know, we pollute every day. Usually the wind blows it away. But today the atmosphere is so capped that it's all sort of staying very low in our atmosphere. So you're seeing it and we're kind of breathing it. If you are someone who has emphysema or breathing problems, it's probably best to just stay indoors. It's it's basically pollution, and we don't want you to get overwhelmed by that. Or maybe it's the stuff that's giving us all allergies and stuff. We are looking for one more day of this, and then things hopefully will improve on Friday as we pick up a little bit of a north wind. Your Saturday's good. Your Sunday may be more interesting with a chance for a shower or two on Sunday, Monday.
Thank you, Mac. Thanks for joining us.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.